What's going on YouTube? Q back here again with another video for you. Today's video, I got a question to ask. It's kind of sort of like a rant, but I got to get this off my chest. Something that automakers are doing, and I'm wondering, why are they doing this? Why would they ever start doing it? So I didn't notice it until like the late 2000s, so like 2008, 2010ish type era. So what they're doing is they're getting rid of iconic names and replacing them with garbage, essentially. So I'm going to talk about a lot of cars from all kinds of different automakers, and I want to know, what the heck were they thinking, man? I think what they're doing is just wasting the legacy on these names that have no meaning whatsoever. So I got a chance to talk to one of the higher ups at one of the companies. It was actually Lincoln. I was at an event at Ford, and I was like, once the Continental came back out, I'm like, that's great, y'all use actual names. Why did y'all get rid of them, and what about the rest of the lineup? So fast forward like 7-8 years later, now Lincoln has all real names. Thank God, because explaining these Lincolns to everybody else was a tough deal. But I'm about to go across a few automakers, and it's not just the car names, it's other things, but stay tuned and you'll see what I'm talking about. First up on this list is going to be yours truly, BMW. So what were they thinking when they had the M3? The M3 is an icon, M5 is an icon, and then fast forward 20-30 years later, we got an M4, which is essentially a two-door version of the M3. I understand that. And then we got a M3 or M3 Coupe or M2 competitions right behind me. This is what the M3 has become. So over the years, cars have gotten larger in size, and the M3 is now what a 5 Series used to be. So now the spiritual successor to the E30, E36, E46 M3 is the M2. So I'm wondering why they did that. Why not just keep the M3 this size and just call it an M3 Coupe and Sedan? So now they got crazy with it, and other Germans have gotten crazy with this as well. I'm gonna get to that later. So let me just, not even the M series, the 2 series, the 3 series, the 4 series. So the 3 series used to be like a coupe and sedan and convertible. And then they kind of split that up to M3 being the sedan. So it would be the odd numbers being the sedans and the even numbers being the coupes. But now we got like a 2 Series Grand Coupe. We got a 4 Series Grand Coupe. The 6 Series used to be a coupe-like M5 or a 5 Series, and then they had the Grand Coupe. And then they just got rid of that to make an 8 Series. I'm like, all right, cool. It's confusing. So now those things are diminished. There's no real, the M3 is still kind of true to it, but it would be cool if this would be the M3 and they just made this a sedan and called whatever the 2 Series is nowadays the 1 Series. I don't even know if they're making 1 Series, but let me not dig too deep into this. I could talk about this for a long time. So the next automaker on my list, a fellow German, Audi. So they're going to change. They're going to get rid of the even numbers. So what you know is the A4 and A6, no more. So all of their sedans are going to be odd numbers now. So we're going to have the A5 to replace the A4 and the A7 to replace the A6. When the even numbers have more heritage, well, at least those two, the A4 has way more heritage than the A5. The A5 didn't come around to the States until like 2009, 2010, or maybe it was 2008. But now we're getting rid of the A4, which was back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. I don't know why we're doing that, because Audi, they were pretty good at their naming scheme. A was the cars, Q's were the trucks, R8, love that car. And then we had 4, 6, 8 sedans, 5, 7, and the 3 is kind of an oddball, but the 5 used to be a coupe, and now it's like a Grand Coupe with a BMW, but it's a slope back sedan like thing. It's a coupe like silhouette, and the A7 as well, and the S7, RS, and whatever. But now, I don't know what Audi is thinking. Terrible idea. And then the electric vehicles are going to be like the E4. I think it's still confusing. I don't even care about it. Another car that I got in my fleet, Acura. Yes, I'm about to get on Acura. So Integra, I just got to throw it out there. The Integra. legendary car, iconic, from the 80s. Went all the way up to about 2003, early 2000s, and they changed the name to an RSX, still known as an Integra in other markets. And then they did away with it, and then it lost its hatchback, and it became the TSX, and that had a couple of generations of it. Then it came as an ILX, which could stand for Integra LX. What does LX stand for? Everybody's into these alphanumerics, or just alphas in this case. It lost its meaning. And then fast forward 20 something years later from where it went away, we got the Integra again, which is basically a hatchback ILX or TSX. Why would they get away? Why would they go away from an iconic name like that? Who knows? I feel like I don't know why an automaker would do that, because ILX, what is that? No meaning, no substance to it. No one will remember your name, ILX. And like I said, I'm going to get on a lot of automakers. So Kia had humble beginnings, but they made a splash in the market, and one of their most notable cars, and affordable, and high volume seller, the Kia Optima, now is the Kia K5. And now they might just do away with it. What are they thinking? I don't know. Bad idea, because what is K5? I'm pretty sure they had another vehicle. Shout out to LeBron, because he was advertising that at one point, a K900, and it was quickly discontinued. Cadillac. So Cadillac historically has had names. We got the Seville, DeVille, and then the more modern ones, Catera, and the Cimarron, which a lot of people think was a trash vehicle, which was a twin of a Cavalier. Yeah. Then we had Eldorado. Fast forward to the late 90s, that's where the Cateras came around. Still has the DeVilles and Sevilles. And then when they started going to STS, DTS, Seville Touring Sedan, DeVille Touring Sedan, I assume CTS, Catera Touring Sedan, Catera Touring Sedan, and then we come out with an ATS, Alante Touring Sedan. I don't know, but then everything became alphanumerics, and then they went from CTS to CT5. What does that even mean? And we got CT4. Those, no one will ever remember those names. We remember the performance, and I still call the CTS or the CT5 CTS. See, I'm messing up now. Then we got the XT4, XT5, XT6, and they still kept the Escalade. Kudos to them for doing that, but these other cars really don't have, like, the name holds no weight. Then we had the CT6, and this is a CT6 Blackwing, which was it wasn't a Blackwing, was it a CT6V? But the engine was called the Blackwing, and then they just made the Blackwing the top CT4 and CT5 V models, CT4V Blackwing, so it went from an engine to an actual model, whereas they could have just kept the CT4V, but that's kind of like a mid-level now. And they did that with the CTS. I don't know why they do that. Kind of like the M Sport and the AMG Sport vehicles, or the S4, S5, like the mid tier. They're all copying off the Germans, and I don't like it. And while I'm on GM, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite cars of all time, the Chevy SS. I'm not even going to talk about it too long. Actually, I'm just going to end it right there. You know what they did. Circling back to Lincoln. So like I said, they had the names like the Navigator, and then they went alphabet soup on everything. We had everything was MK, which I think stood for Mark. I actually don't know, don't even care at this point, because Lincoln has been lackluster for a minute. But we got the MKT, MKS, MKZ, which was a Zephyr for the first model year in 2006. And then they just, was there another one? They did an F-150 clone, the Mark LT. I don't know what Lincoln was thinking, but like I said, I spoke to like the president of Lincoln, like he didn't like that at all, but it was for marketing. Terrible idea. Thumbs down. Let's circle back to the Koreans. So we got Genesis, which used to be a Hyundai, Genesis Coupe, which was a small sporty coupe. And then we had the Genesis Sedan, which was like almost a full-size luxury car. Went from like a cheap sports car to a near luxury sedan with the same name, coupe and sedan. And then they spun Genesis off to be its own brand, which was probably for the better. But the Genesis Coupe, nobody's going to remember it, because the brand Genesis doesn't make a coupe. They got a GV 70, 80, and 90. If they just stick with that, that'll be okay, because they started off with that. Hopefully they finish with that. but I still think names are cool. I don't know if they do this because of globalization, like can other markets not say these names? That would make sense, but changing it up, like you got to take care of home and people got to know what they're buying. And like I said, and a lot of people don't know what these things were. Working at Ford with Lincoln, the employees didn't know what was what. So that was kind of funny to me. I'm like, how do you work here and don't know the name of our cars? So I touched on this just a tad bit, but circling back to the Germans, Mercedes, I'm about to get on you. So Mercedes, they got the like the AMG Mercedes, you got the C63, and the number at the end of the German cars used to denote the engine displacement. Well, not the C63, it should be C62, but I guess 63 looked better. But like if you saw a BMW like a 540i, that denoted a 4-liter V8 in their cars. 535 is a 3.5 liter inline 6 in the BMWs. And Mercedes, they both do the same game, but with them they'll have the C63, which should have been a 62, and now they got a C43, which is like it's definitely not the 4.3 liter V8, and the 63 is like not that at all anymore. But the AMG C43 is like a V6 turbocharged V6. I don't even know what it is, but like I said, it's a mid-tier vehicles, not the full-on AMG, but like a light AMG, if you will. But it gives more people to, I guess, I don't know what they're doing. I don't like it. Make the AMGs the real AMG cars and keep everything else like a C300 or whatever they would be now. They're kind of doing a PP contest now because they made the numbers bigger. Like BMW got the, let's say, a 340i, which Mercedes had like, I don't even know. Okay, moving on. Let me get back to the domestics with Chevy. So you might remember an iconic name called the Blazer, and I actually have one in my garage, but it's showing the icon. So the Blazer used to be a Bronco competitor. Shout out for Ford for bringing that back to the market, and no shout out to GM for just leaving it like no competition. So they got the Wrangler, the Bronco, nothing from GM in that market. Missing out on that, but they used to have like the big body Blazers to go with against the Bronco. Was it like a K5? But now, fast forward to today, we got the Blazer, which is a crossover. My wife has the RS, and then the Trailblazer. That I tried to do a video with one of those, but it went away before I could. The Trailblazer SS from like 2006. That was an icon, and now we got the new Trailblazer is like a subcompact little SUV. It looks attractive, but it is nothing like a Trailblazer, and it's so small. Like the Trailblazer is the size of what the Blazer would be, and they just made it so small. Why not come up with another name, man? They got all these names. They chose Blazer and Trailblazer. That's confusing, like Bolt and Volt. People get those confused, but I know the Bolt is the EV, the Volt is the plug-in hybrid. Discontinue both of them. These birds keep flying right over me. So we got one company that used this to their advantage to use an iconic nameplate. Not going to talk about it too much because this vehicle, I don't even know what the sales are, but I'm starting to see a lot of these, or not a lot at all by any means, but I'm seeing some on the roads. And that's the Mitsubishi Eclipse. That used to be a coupe, now it's an SUV. And last but not least, and I could go on and on about this, but Ferrari, I don't know what's what nowadays. There's like an SF90, there's a Roma, I know the Superfast was out there, and whatever the 48 became. I don't know what Ferrari is what. I know it used to denote like the 360 used to be like 360, was it cc's per liter in the engine? Like if you multiply that by 8, you would get like the full displacement of the engine, something like that. But these new Ferraris, I don't know what's what. I just don't know, man. What are they naming these after? They're just numbers. Like, what is SF90? And I know there's like a plug-in hybrid that's extremely fast, and there's like a not plug-in hybrid, which is still extremely fast but lighter. Don't even know the name of it. Go figure. So that's my little rant about what these automakers are thinking. I have no idea. Whatever they're passing around, hey, y'all keep that to yourself, because y'all doing a terrible job at naming these vehicles. I think we need to get back to the traditional names, or if you are going to shake things up, at least make it make sense. Hope you all enjoyed this. Let me know some more cars if I left any out. I know I did, because this was just off the top of the head, and that's a lot. I had to just stop myself because I didn't want this video to be too long. But if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and don't forget to comment, subscribe, hit the bell, browse the channel, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out.